Newfound journal passages by famous Satanist Aleister Crowley uncovers he was the genuine father of the late Barbara Bush. Aleister Crowley, a.k.a. the Great Beast 666 inches, was great companions with the maternal grandma of George W. Shrub, Pauline Pierce Robinson, Barbara Bush mother. Canonfire.blogspot.com reports, most sources disclose minimal about this lady. We take in more about her significant other Marvin Pierce, the leader of the McCall Corporation, which distributed McCall's magazine and Redbook. He wedded Pauline, a wonderful youthful socialite, in 1919. Their first tyke, Martha, was conceived the following year. The second, James, was conceived in 1921. Right now, Aleister Crowley occupied what probably appeared an altogether different world, as he left upon the immense public examination of the Abbey of Thelema in Italy. Pauline, be that as it may, had a concealed side, what we may call, without expecting any judgment or affront, a wild side. We get a whiff of it from this Wikipedia passage. W magazine once portrayed her as delightful, breathtaking, basic, and interfering, and a previous wonder from Ohio with indulgent tastes. Bits of gossip that Pauline engaged in extramarital relations with Dwight D. Eisenhower have never been confirmed. Still, Babble tabloids from the 40s frequently connected her with noticeable men in legislative issues and film. I have not yet possessed the capacity to secure free affirmation of the Eisenhower contact, despite the fact that I for one observe no motivation to question that it existed. Be that as it may, we may well have motivation to trust that she started her trial period before the 1940s. A sixth-level start inside the Ordo Templi Orientis, the mysterious society that Crowley came to head in the 1920s, first put me down this examination way by uncovering that Pauline Robinson had gotten to know a lady named Nellie O'Hara, an American adventuress who, eventually amid her European voyages, met the well-known author Frank Harris. Regardless of his propelling years, Harris still kept up in notoriety for sexual overabundance that matched Crowley's. Amid this period, 1919 to 1927, Nellie and Frank Harris lived as man and spouse, in spite of the fact that they couldn't really marry in light of the fact that Harris' second wife was as yet alive and would not give a separation. Harris and Crowley were great companions. Not just that, at this time, and not for the last time, Crowley was especially the notorious companion and require. Amid the Abbey time frame, a Crowley adherent had incidentally passed on amid a magical service. The episode made a firestorm of undesirable exposure. The dramatist British press named Crowley the wickedest man in the world, which incited Mussolini's legislature to oust Crowley and his devotees from Italian soil. By 1924, he lived in neediness in France, where Frank Harris benevolently took him under his rooftop. This course of action unavoidably carried Crowley into contact with Nellie. Crowley's journals, to which I have been given access, plainly show that he relied upon Harris for money-related help. January 3, 1924, no fortunes about money yet FH guarantees 500 Fr tomorrow, with the gold that I can dart to Paris. One stage forward to the establishment of the law of Thelema. The cash soon ran out, and AC, as his partners called him, soon needed to approach his companion for advance help. As of now, Harris was composing his multi-volume sensual self-portrayal, My Life and Loves. He additionally obtained a daily paper, the Evening Telegram. In any case, he did not have the assets and administration aptitudes to make the undertaking a win, and soon ended up in a budgetary position no superior to Crowley's. In spite of his parlous monetary conditions, Crowley concentrated on sex magic. Relatively few years beforehand, he and an adherent named Jean Foster, a.k.a. Sir Hilarion, had directed a sex magical ceremony intended to bring forth a kid bound to bear on Crowley's work. I have not possessed the capacity to decide if he led comparative examinations with Nellie, albeit given the polyamorous proclivities of the considerable number of gatherings included, one ought not to rebate the likelihood. Nellie's companion Pauline, no uncertainty, scandalized her group of friends by setting out to France all alone and leaving two exceptionally youthful youngsters under the watchful eye of nursemaids. Be that as it may, her correspondence with her companion, whose life entranced with a well-known abstract figure more likely than not appeared to be very impressive, can just have roused a feeling of hunger for something new. Her significant other, progressively bound to his obligations with the McCall Corporation, did not share this soul of adventure. Crowley's journals for this period record the initials PVN, an obscure reference to his most loved sexual position, which a portion of his accomplices discovered tacky. The letters get from the Latin for by method for the infernal entrance. This is a typical comment in the records of Crowley's mysterious practices. We likewise locate the weird initials ECL. After exploring the issue for quite a while, I have arrived at the decision this is a reference to the training known as erotoconmotos lucidity. Before continuing, I ought to accentuate that the year 1924 has an exceptional criticalness in the Crowley sequence. As of now, he is said to have experienced the incomparable trial associated with his accomplishment of the grade of ipsissimus, the most elevated magical accomplishment, and signed his request. The correct idea of this experience stays baffling. I trust that a critical piece of information can be found in his portrayal of the ritual of erotoconmotos lucidity. The candidate is made prepared for the ordeal by general athletic preparing, and by devouring. On the named day he is gone to by at least one picked and experienced chaperons whose obligation is, a. to deplete him sexually by each known means, b. to stir him sexually by each known means. Each gadget and guile of the mistress is to be utilized, and each stimulant known to the doctor. Nor should the specialists reck of risk, however chase down heartlessly their designated prey. At last the candidate will into a rest of absolute depletion, taking after trance state, and it is presently that delicacy and aptitude must be stunning. Give him a chance to be awakened from this rest by incitement of a certainly and only sexual compose. However, in the event that advantageous, music shrewdly controlled will help. The orderlies will watch with assiduity for indications of waking, and the minute these happen, all incitement must stop immediately, and the candidate be permitted to fall again and to rest. However, no sooner has this occurred than the previous practice is continued. This modification is to proceed uncertainly until the point when the candidate is in a state which is neither rest nor waking, and in which his spirit, set free by culminate depletion of the body, but then kept from entering the city of sleep, cooperatives with the Most High and the Most Holy Lord God of its being, creator of paradise and earth. The ordeal ends by disappointment, the event of rest powerful, or by progress, in which extreme waking is trailed by a last execution of the sexual demonstration. The initiate may then be permitted to rest, or the training might be restored and held on until the point when demise closes all. The most great passing is that happening amid the climax, and is called Murus Justi. As it is composed, let me bite the dust the demise of the righteous, and let my last end resemble his. On the off chance that he underwent this trial in 1924, at that point we should assume that his key partners of that time, including Nellie and Pauline, worked as his collaborators. Pauline came back to America toward the beginning of October of 1924. On June 8, 1925, she brought forth a young lady named Barbara. Barbara Pierce wedded George H.W. Shrubbery, who in the end turned into the 41st President of the United States. In any case, who was Barbara's dad? The order shows that it could have been Crowley, however it could simply have been Marvin Pierce. Reality with respect to Crowleyan sexual customs is unveiled just to the most elevated starts of the Odo, in an archive misleadingly titled Symbols and Modes of Use. Is Aleister Crowley the father of Barbara Bush? Indeed, even she may not know for certain. Without a doubt, I have no chance to get of knowing whether she has ever been informed that this probability exists. Notwithstanding, in excess of one individual has noticed the similarity, and this likeness isn't simply physical. Numerous will review the previous First Lady's haughty and negligent comments in the result of the Katrina calamity. Those up to date were helped to remember Aleister Crowley's comparative response to the death toll which happened amid the climb of Kangchenjunga, an endeavor he summoned. This is absolutely the kind of thing with which I have no sensitivity at all. I leave the issue for the peruser to choose.